These are 7 of the craziest conspiracy theories ever shared on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Starting with the conspiracy theory that Adolf Hitler didn't die in 1945 and that he escaped Germany and went to South America. This conspiracy theory was shared by Tim Kennedy, who starred on the show Hunting Hitler, where a team of investigators investigated whether or not Hitler actually died in 1945. Tim Kennedy starts off by saying that there were declassified FBI documents that documented the FBI spent millions of dollars actively searching for Hitler after World War II.
Like millions of dollars. Like Hoover was like, no. Send more FBI agents to South America, to North Africa, go to the Canary Islands, go to Spain, trying to find out where this guy went. Tons of real FBI documents with real leads, with real informants, some some first eye accounts.
The official story is that Adolf Hitler killed himself in his bunker on April 30th, 1945. Joe Rogan asks Tim Kennedy if there was any evidence of this actually happening. Tim Kennedy explains that the Russians apparently got Hitler's body and brought it back to Moscow, where they let one genetic test occur. Well, the results from the genetic test done on Hitler came back odd.
Okay, here's Hitler's skull, and when they did the genetic testing, it's that of a 35-year-old woman. So they're like, oh, well, this isn't Hitler, but they've said for the past 80 years that this is Hitler.
Tim Kennedy states that there is no 100% evidence that Hitler died in that bunker in April of 1945. Tim then says that the majority of people with power in the Nazi Party escaped Germany and went to South America following World War II.
There was about 3 different rat lines that guys were able to successfully get out of Europe into South America. There's no question that we're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands of high-ranking Nazis made it there.
Tens of thousands?
Tens of thousands. And I'm not talking like little soldiers. I'm talking high-ranking Nazis. Officers, guys like Joseph Mengele and Adolf Eichmann. I mean, these are the most disgusting, despicable humans to exist at the time.
After World War II, many isolated German-only communities were popping up in Argentina, and some of those communities still exist to this day.
You could go into Bariloche, Argentina, and I'd be like, "Buenos dias, amigos," and they're like, "Guten Morgen." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I meant good morning. Yeah, sorry, it's 2017, right? I thought we spoke Spanish here."
So,
and there's tons of communities. I mean, if you go to Colonia Dignidad, which is now called Villa Bavaria, the Bavarian village, it is only German.
Whoa.
In the center of Chile, in the mountains of Chile. Like there's no Spanish being spoken there. It is exclusively German.
And these are the descendants of Nazis.
Powerful Nazis.
Holy shit. And this is going on right now.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan asks how many communities in Argentina are German only, and Tim tells him that there are around 50 communities and a few 100,000 people that are direct descendants of Nazis living in Argentina.
And man, it's weird when you walk into somebody's parlor and it's like you're stepping back in time into Europe. Like I'm walking in, it's 2017, and I'm walking in Buenos Aires, Argentina, into somebody's parlor, and all of the tile is European, and all the style and all the art is very German.
Then Joe Rogan asks if there is any evidence of Hitler actually going to Argentina after World War II.
Absolutely, potentially.
Whoa.
Yep. Eyewitness accounts, I saw him get off a boat. I saw him meet here.
What do you think happened? I mean, you've been studying this for how long now?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
If you had a guess, if you had like $1 million, you got to put it on one side or another. Did he go there?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Tim Kennedy is a firm believer in the theory that Adolf Hitler escaped Germany after World War II and lived in South America. Although that is a popular theory, it doesn't compare to probably the most popular conspiracy theory, the moon landing was faked. Now, this isn't just a regular "we never went to the moon" theory. This conspiracy theory is that Stanley Kubrick, the director of The Shining, may have had something to do with the faking of the moon landing. Joe Rogan points out that room 237 in The Shining is the number of miles from Earth to the moon, 237,000. Joe Rogan also points out that that number is constantly changing. But then, Joe starts to talk about the conspiracy theory that Stanley Kubrick Trick was the one who faked the moon landing.
The conspiracy theorists, when they get the most crazy, when they really want to dive into who did it, they think it was all Kubrick. The Kubrick literally filmed the fake moon landing, uploaded it to the American TV satellites.
If anyone could do it, it'd be him. He'd be the guy I would get to do it.
Can you imagine if that was really what happened?
I've heard all
these years.
I remember hearing all the fucking conspiracy theorists about the Illuminati killing him because he made. Yeah.
Well, they were worried he was gonna open his fucking mouth. Tell about the moon landing.
Oh no.
That's what it was.
No, because he made fucking
his fucking
Eyes
mouth
Wide Shut.
That too. That was his last one. They're like, enough. This guy's getting too close.
Although Joe Rogan isn't a huge believer in this conspiracy theory, he also points out how it could be possible. Sort of like Eddie Bravo's conspiracy theory that space is fake and that everything that we were taught about space is wrong.
Anybody that thinks the Earth is flat, they totally don't believe what we're taught about what's above us. So when people say space is fake,
what about the sun?
They mean all the information we're getting. You're lying about that shit.
Eddie Bravo clarifies his argument and says that of course space is real because we can look up and see it, and he knows that saying space is fake is ridiculous, but he is a firm believer that everything we were told about space is a lie. Now, of course, everybody else on the podcast started to question Eddie Bravo and asked him to give cliff notes on why he believes that space is fake. This prompts Eddie Bravo to talk about a conspiracy theory that is very possible.
The goal has always been for the most powerful emperors is a one world government. They always wanted a one world government. There's no way to have a fucking one world government. The only way to make a one world government work is to have the people embrace it. They have to want it because nobody wants it. So the trick is to make people want it, to embrace it. There's only one way, is if there was some extraterrestrial threat from up above us. That would be the only way to have everyone embrace the one world government.
Eddie Bravo's largest piece of evidence for this conspiracy theory is that Ronald Reagan talked about it at the UN. Of course, when Eddie Bravo brought this evidence up on the podcast, everybody sort of laughed and thought that Eddie Bravo was lying about Ronald Reagan saying this, but to Eddie's defense, Reagan talked about aliens multiple times throughout his time in office.
Just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species from another planet outside in the universe. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. All of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet. Wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us at all? We were all human beings, citizens of the world, and wouldn't we come together to fight that particular threat?
Eddie Bravo's conspiracy theories are usually pretty out there, but this one actually has some evidence to support it. Sort of like war reporter Ben Anderson's conspiracy theory that the white helmets in Syria are actually a front for Al-Qaeda. The White Helmets, officially known as Syria Civil Defense, is a volunteer organization that operates in parts of opposition-controlled Syria and in Turkey. Well, Ben Anderson firmly believes that the White Helmets are a front for Al-Qaeda.
So when there's a bombing and a building collapses, they go in and drag people out and get them medical attention as quick as possible.
And people think that they're somehow or another involved in it, that they're a front.
Yeah, and the footage is faked in order to drum up sympathy for the rebel-held areas. I mean, I've heard serious people say that.
Serious people.
Yeah, not loons on Facebook. I've heard
like journalists or
yeah.